Conscious mind conversation. Um, just repeat what you were saying about how you've just re-listened back to your sessions.
Oh, so last night I was well, I'd been thinking about listening to my last sessions for probably about 3 or 4 days now, and I just kept putting it off and everything. And then last night I listened to my first and second session, and it just seemed so much different, like a different understanding than what I had when I first even did my sessions. So it's just like the onion got peeled back a little bit more just listening to the ones that I've already done. So I thought
Mm.
that was really cool.
That's
Yeah.
awesome because I don't think it was that. I mean, it's only a few months ago, right?
Actually it was August 19th, I think was my first one.
Okay.
Or my first one with you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because you danced with a few practitioners, and
Yes.
I can't remember what was going on there. Was it just not right fit, or what do you think was going on with those sessions?
I had one session before you, but the one that I had, it was, I don't know if it was because she was so open about everything else she had going on in her life. I kind of felt like this was just like a hobby or something. I don't know how to explain it, but
Did you feel like she
um
was supporting you and listening to you, or
well, I felt that she was being as supportive and everything that she could possibly be. She's brand new, so I mean that could have been the other part of it, but she's also a teacher, a high school teacher and a yoga instructor, and has her own studio. And I don't know. I
Mhm.
just guess that I project my lack of being able to keep all of that under control, like myself.
So
So I don't know.
how remind me how that first session was with her.
Um, it was very, I felt like it took forever to talk me down into a comfortable state. And then when I finally got there, I had to go to the restroom. So I got a flash of like a blow flower, like a dandelion, whenever they have the seed or whenever you blow a flower. I don't know if they have those everywhere in the world,
Mhm.
but
Magical.
um,
They are literally
you know what I'm
magical.
talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Dan
and then I also saw just little flashes. It wasn't like watching a whole scene or anything, but I just saw little flashes in my mind, I guess. And it was a black um dragonfly with like iridescent wings, and then that blowflower right after that. So I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't really realize the symbology behind it until after I'd had like my second session with you, though. So it's like important to keep going through the sessions that you've already done with a fresh set of eyes and
Mm,
understanding.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um,
Yeah.
well, I think it's fantastic that you supported an intern and gave her that experience.
Yeah.
And, you know, every intern needs our support
Yeah.
and encouragement in this because this is huge. This isn't a hobby, and
Yeah.
to sort of, I think for those people who do sessions maybe once every 6 months, you know, oh, I think that would be, like it's like anything. The more you do it, the more you get fine tuned and skilled in it, and
Hmm.
it sort of becomes a second way of nature. It's
Yeah.
like me sort of thinking about doing maybe some Christmas ornaments or something like that with the kids. I just sort of think, God, I haven't touched clay in ages. And I just
Hmm.
think, God, am I going to be all blah backwards with it? And like whereas it was just because everything was out and all ready and prepared and everything sort of packed away, now it just feels like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be
Too many steps to
such.
that project.
Yeah. So true, so true.
Well, the
And
kids
so
would love it, I'm sure. They are not into perfection, that's for sure.
yeah, they would just,
Kids in
yeah,
general.
totally. And
Mm.
so I have heard some people sort of say, there's no yuck interns because, they don't have any experience. But, well, if someone's, done the course and done sessions sporadically through the years, well, they may be out of practice. And so therefore doing a session with you may be like, starting from scratch again, because, the energy is a lot to support as a practitioner, and there's a whole lot of
Mhm.
stuff to focus
Yeah,
on and
I can imagine.
get used to. So
Mhm.
um I love people being able to support the interns because, they've paid money. They want
Mhm.
to not only do they want to heal people, but they want to grow themselves as well. And I feel like
Mhm.
when they're so excited, as interns, they're trying their darndest to get their 25 free sessions under their belt, so then they can start paying and charging people, I should say. They're so motivated for that. And I sort of think, they've probably done lots of sessions recently, potentially, and they haven't got too many bad habits. Like, remember when we learned how to drive and we were
Mhm.
to the T and exactly what we were told, we would do exactly how we were trained, and you would go by the book. However you were taught, it would be exactly how you were taught. And I think that is actually a really good reminder for those people who are a bit interns. Can you trust them? Well, they're going to be remembering it's all fresh. They haven't had enough time to pick up bad habits. They haven't,
Mhm.
I'm very hopeful, aren't I, that lots of interns are doing the best that they can.
Oh, yeah. You are. But I mean, like, just my experience, I mean, and I know that this is probably not the same for all interns, but just with the only one that's in my area, and literally the only one that's in my area, probably a span of about 300 miles in Texas. So, I
Mm.
mean, like I even told her, hey, whenever you can, I'm totally ready to, be your first real client or whatever you want. So thankfully we left on good terms.
That is such a beautiful gesture. Let me have a
Yeah.
first session. We'll do this free. You get part of your accredit qualifications. And then when you are official, let me be your paying customer. You know,
Heck
that's
yeah.
that's quite a that means so much to them because it means that you trust them so much. That's a really cute way to empower them. So bless you.
Oh, thanks. She is so easy to talk to, super sweet. She's a high school teacher, so I mean, you know, she's got to be made of steel at least, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm just thinking about my kids and how they were in high school. I don't know.
Mm.
But
Well,
yeah.
nothing wrong with trying to push the system to think about itself and see if whether it's really working or not.
Mm, yeah.
Oh boy. Okay, so you also were interesting me and intriguing me with what you were talking about with the muscle testing. So explain it to those people who haven't heard it, and so see if we can all experience and explore this for ourselves.
Okay. All right. So I think it was back in 2015 or 16. I'm pretty sure it was 16, but who's counting? But I was like taking six different pharmaceutical medications through my doctor, and one of which I had to go in and have my blood drawn every month, and I just got tired of feeling like that. So I went to this natural health nurse, and she did muscle testing on me. And when she first started out, she had just this one little one room office, and all her supplements and everything were right there in one area. Like, she started out small, and I mean, she's really gotten really good at her practice and everything. But this muscle testing just totally blew my mind, because from what she is telling me, that's your subconscious uh, communicating, in lieu of, like, I mean, she would do every single system in my body, and do the muscle testing against that, and uh, then put the supplements up to different uh, errant points on me, or I think like reflexology type stuff, really. But anyway, so fast forward to like last year when I stopped taking my supplements altogether. I had gotten to the point where I could tell how many of each supplement I needed based on the sway test that I learned. So I was always like right on. I'd go to her and she would actually tell me without me saying anything about how many I'd been taking or whatever, but would tell me that my body had told her how many to take and it was how many I had been taking. You know what I mean? So I've come to trust the muscle testing process, and and I use it for pretty much a lot of stuff, especially things that I'm listening to. Like if you say love in your mind and you'll see that you're kind of swaying forward, and like if you want to say something like hate or some strong emotion that you find negative, you'll start swaying backwards a little bit. I mean, it's not like on V8 commercials where you're, you know, all the way back or all the way forward or anything. It's just very subtle, but you can feel the shift in your feet. And yeah, so
So do you sort of train your body to figure out the signs? Whereas like show me, do you ask to get a base reading versus
yes.
like, so show me,
Yes.
so show
Show me
me,
a yes. Show me
oh,
a no. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm
Oh,
sorry. Yeah, I left that part out.
okay. No, no, no.
Good point.
And I think I've heard about it. I just don't think I've ever practiced it. And then
Yeah.
the people that I have heard talking about it, they also say a whole lot of very human concepts and perspectives that I just think,
Mhm.
well, you should probably muscle test that, my friend. um, so
Muscle test what you're saying about muscle testing.
well,
Oh, that's
like
hilarious.
it's great to have all these tools. I mean, what
Hmm.
kind of jerk would I be that just shared all of my opinions and dismissed all the information that I got from sessions? I have to, like
Yeah.
everyone else, still apply the information from the sessions and, really catch myself if I'm, because I think I was so insecure with my own opinions. I only spoke what I heard in sessions. And I was still super mindful of what if I'm misinterpreting the sessions? And,
Mm.
what is that saying? Even the devil can find scriptures in the Bible to like shame you to hell or whatever, like.
Hmm.
And so I
Yeah.
was trying really hard to focus and understand. And so I was asking so many different questions to try and get the same, well, just to try and test the system. And I felt like we'd asked all different which ways. How can we heal this planet? How can we heal each other? How can we heal Gaia? What can we do to make me a multi-billionaire? Like
What are the winning lottery numbers?
joking. I've never asked
Exactly.
them for that. Like I could have asked them, make me skinny. I could have asked them a whole lot of stuff. But,
Yeah,
part of
that'd
me,
probably be a slap in their face. Just saying.
yeah, 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 totally misuse them. I really wanted to be able to be responsible for my own behaviors too. And I kind
Mhm.
of respect them so much. I didn't want to run to them with all my little problems, even though I have felt like some of the things I just cannot get over and I feel really stuck. I sort of reach out to them and they sort
Mhm.
of say, we're always here, don't worry about it. You're not failing, you're not cheating if you reach out and get our perspective. We're here to help you. But sometimes we can try to be too brave when we should be, asking for help.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Perhaps my issue a lot of the time.
Mhm.
Or if I'm going through something and or I don't have privacy or whatever that I feel like I want or need, like that keeps me from reaching out to like anyone. So that's when I
Yeah.
do the white light healing meditation and the other one right behind that. But I don't do that one every day. I do that like every other day because it's a little bit different. Still relaxing, but like really helps connect me to different perspectives on things that I'm spinning around about. Like mirrors on the out. I don't know how to explain it and outside of my head, but like I guess I could give a little example. Like people seemingly taking me for granted, and then me looking at myself as possibly taking someone else for granted. You know what I mean? So like I do that a lot after uh, my meditations and stuff.
Mm-hmm. So,
I'm
uh,
sorry, got doggies
it's
in the background.
you're allowed to have beloved pets. Um, so okay, so you feel frustrated that sometimes people take you for granted, but then you also feel frustrated when you feel like people take you for granted.
No, I see that I could possibly be the person doing the taking for granted,
Oh.
and it's being shown to me like that. You know what I mean? Like it's something I didn't even look at prior to that. So it
Mm.
gives me like epiphany, like different perspectives, in my opinion. Like stuff that like if I'm just standing there doing the dishes, it's not going to come to me in that form. It'll be normally right after my meditations.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, because isn't it interesting? Because I mean, usually a trigger is not so opposite like that, you
mm,
know. I mean, but I mean, I guess it could be. Our triggers are our reflection of our own insecurities and fears potentially.
yeah, that's a good point.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, because I'm like,
I'm
I
so
get tr
glad this is being recorded.
I get well, I mean, it's well known that I get triggered with people sharing disinformation because I know that they are purposely trying to share that disinformation for their own agenda. And
Right.
so, you know, I certainly that's definitely not a reflection of a mirror for me because I
True.
work
True.
so hard to get, you know, try and find the truth and ask
Right.
in many different sources and many different vehicles. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, because I just was like, oh, okay, is that the reason why I'm triggered by disinformation? And I was like, no, but um, it's taken me a
Well,
long
thanks for
time.
sharing that with me because, like, prior to that, I mean, I told you how I felt about my little situation that I had, and I hadn't looked at it the way you said.
Well,
Yeah, I
you
like
know,
that better.
we have to be brave to look at all angles, right? Because if we're afraid to look at one perspective or one angle, I mean, you're brave because you're like, oh, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the one that's taking people for granted. Bah ha
Yeah, I
ha.
was taking
You
it
know?
to the extreme. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, you're
yes, moi.
you're yeah, you I knowing I don't know everything about you, but I think you would be so giving and so nurturing and so everything. I would, from my judgmental opinion, um, I would imagine it would be quite likely people are taking you for granted versus you taking them for granted. From my small insight into your life.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, and I mean, I don't feel like I'm taking people for granted. I just, I don't know. I guess I'm still kind of uh and I don't know, not trusting myself as far as the whole not having a job. I
Hmm.
still have guilt over that. So I guess in one way I feel like I am taking advantage of a situation, maybe that was
Well, it's always good to explore it and to see what is that situation and, what is it, what is the agenda for it, you know?
yeah.
And I guess you went to the very, the big fear base of, oh gosh, what if this is my mirror work and I'm triggered
Yes.
because I'm guilty of this?
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, that would be oh, usually these experiences of fear are to realize and like double question ourselves and then be able to reinsure ourselves and empower ourselves? No, that is a fear. We don't take others for granted. But, I mean, we could always give more. We can always give more to others, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think in general, we probably take everyone for granted, to some level, and not
Mm-hmm.
meaningful. Like, you know, um, so, it's about you don't abuse people, you don't demand stuff. I think you're very giving. And I think it would be a give and take, but you're probably labeling taking people for granted as in you're always going to be in my life. You're always going to be here for me. And
Yeah, yeah. And there's nothing you can do about it.
there is no escaping your mother.
There is no escape.
Yeah, so
Oh,
like,
correct.
so
Yep.
explore it. Like, I mean, if
Gotcha.
brutally, what level of taking them for granted is it? Because we should be, and like part of your journey, my friend, is knowing security wise no one's going to leave you again. Because
Mhm,
with your separated family who live in different areas of the country, and now that your mum has departed, you do sort of feel like you're not as connected to your original family. Now you've created your own personal family with your kids and your grandson.
mhm.
um like, you don't need to be in constant fear that they can leave and abandon you.
Hmm. So true.
Anyway, fear, like, facing our fears is always fantastic, right? And sometimes really scary. But when we are brave, um,
Mhm.
actually exploring it can be fantastic. And so getting back to the muscle testing, so when I say to my body, sway one way for yes, and sway, and then I'll feel that sway. And do you notice that it always goes the same direction always, or do you question it every single day before you do it?
You have to get the baseline every single time before you do it. To my understanding, we could be switched and blocked, and I really had to like ask questions about that because I always thought that like when she said I was blocked that I was like constipated. So I, like,
You're full of shit.
anyway, right. Well, so I'd go up in there and I'd say, I think I'm switched and blocked because I haven't gone to the bathroom.
Mm,
Anyway,
bless you.
so but it's something about your polarity, like something with your polarities or whatever.
Mm,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Because
it's very interesting.
when you were saying it as in like check in where love is, where you'd feel love, I felt
Hmm.
this big movement back within me. And I just
Hmm.
thought, oh, am I resisting love? And I was like, no, because
You're switched.
our front of our bodies are emotional, and our backs of our bodies are structural, support systems, sensory
Mm.
wise. And so when I felt into, because you said love, I could feel the
Mhm.
expansion of my heart portal so big that it kind of pushed me back. And then when you said, I can't remember whether you said like hate or anger, then I felt myself reclining because those emotions do hold density in the physical part of our bodies.
Mhm. Interesting.
So yeah, I will have to explore that and experience that,
Yeah,
because
it took me a long time to, I guess, have confidence in that method. You know what I
Mhm,
mean?
sure.
So, but yes, definitely do a baseline. Show me a yes, show me a no, or show me a positive, show me a negative, or you could either use, like, you love your kids and your family, so that's definitely going to give you a positive, whatever the most positive response is for you. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
very, very interesting.
It sounds like a really positive tool. And yes, then
Yeah,
then it goes to that next step of trusting. And even with sessions,
it is the
trusting.
trust.
Like,
Yes, that
did
is the
you
most important part.
did you
Most important.
did you feel after your session that you were able to trust the information, or did you feel like you made it all up?
Oh, after my intern session, I just thought I was full of shit. Like I really did not have any idea what to expect to begin with. Then, excuse me. Then then she told me not to have any expectations, and of course, I had expectations. But excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm sitting outside with the allergies.
Mhm.
But anyway, so yeah, the first one I did not really believe it. I think that's when I reached out to you was shortly after that, and I was just like, "Please help me. If you could tell me whether or not that you can tell if this is my real subconscious speaking and blah blah blah.
Mm.
I'm willing to share it with you if you want to review it for me and stuff like that." So yeah,
Okay.
I was very, but with the first one that I did with you was completely different, in my opinion. I was able to believe all of all of the information that came up, and uh, I actually got physical sensations through the actual experience and or experiences and listening back. And I've listened back to it now probably about 6 or 7 times. And one of those times I like dictated it on my phone so I could read it because I think that in my conscious opinion, I feel like it goes in a little bit easier if I can read stuff rather
Mm.
than listening to it. So
Yeah, 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 yeah. Absorb it
yeah,
in a different
yeah.
level. Yeah,
And
yeah.
you also you were able to ask more questions and fill in uh like if I was struggling and not, I guess, able to interpret what was coming through or whatever, and there was like long pauses, you were able to kind of get in there and kind of help me get past whatever was going on in between my uh, subconscious and my brain and speaking it out. I kind of sounded like a caveman though to myself in certain areas because I don't really get out much. I don't talk to too many people. I read a lot. I listen to things a lot, listen to people a lot, but as far as speaking, I don't really speak to a lot of people. So
Mhm.
wonder if that had something to do with my.
Well, often, like if it was a past lifetime, it can be, you know, a reflection of that, but also
Mm,
you're translating, high dimensional beings who don't speak English. And
mhm,
so,
right.
they're trying to make it as easy for us to understand as possible. And so they're not using baby words, but they're trying to be as
Yeah,
direct as possible without overwhelming us to be able to give us the best guided information.
yeah.
So again, it might just sound like you're just being a little bit critical of yourself. Um,
Except expectations, I mean,
Mhm.
because I hear you channeling and sharing your channels with everyone else and like your sessions with yourself and others. And I'm just like, wow, they all just sound so fluent, like they speak just, you know,
Mm.
don't miss a beat. So I just kind of felt like I should be doing that too.
Well, if you listen to my first session, or my second session, with being a QHHT client, I mean, there was pauses, there was differences. So, you know, factoring in, the 3+ years that I've been doing, metaphysical sessions, you can give yourself a freaking break and honor your journey. And, the next time we do a session together, you will see growth. I mean, you already have massively grown since we've done those sessions in August. Sorry, yeah, August. And, like it takes some time to unravel and heal, and,
Yes,
and be kind to yourself.
I'm getting better.
You are. You
I
so
am getting a lot better.
like there is getting better, and then there is like achieving amazing goals and amazing insights and amazing perspectives. And that's where you're at.
Oh,
You have
okay.
found that inner peace that people freaking can only imagine could be possible. And now you're at that point where you're like, well, I've got inner peace. What's next?
I know. Hey, do you remember whenever you asked, I think we were releasing Worry in my first session with in my gypsy uh, life or whatever. And you asked my subconscious what my life would be or how I would be after we released the Worry. And he said, bored. He said
Did he? Oh my
something
gosh.
about inner peace is quiet or something like that. It was so funny. Inner peace
Is
is quiet.
it is very still. I
Mhm.
remember having this profound session where, whew, I was like, I wasn't as driven as much to distract myself. And so I literally was just sitting comfortably within myself, not physically doing anything. I was just sitting and just enjoying the moment of watching my children and stuff. And I was like, what? I almost was like, oh my God, I'm broken. Like I actually thought that, like, oh no, no, I like to be busy. I got kind of disturbed because I was like,
Right.
there was
Don't know what to do.
this profound peace, this profound okay. And it,
Mhm.
it was so loud, the silence. I thought, who am I now? I don't know if I'm not going to be driven to do the work I need to do. I'm not all this stuff. And it was like, driving really fast and erratically through life and then suddenly just cruising.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh,
It it really is awesome to see not only myself, but the people in my surroundings different, you know?
mm,
Um, my son and my daughter are both like doing so much better. I mean, I feel like not only does this help me and my journey and everything and addressing things from that I'd never even knew anything about consciously, but it like changes things with them too.
yeah,
So I'm
totally.
watching them grow up more in the past 2 months of my life than I've seen them grow up in like 8 years.
Wow.
So it's awesome.
That is what I would say is the mirror effect, because you probably can't see your own personal growth, but you can see them. And if they were reflecting on you, they'd be able to see your profound growth, because you've stopped like judging yourself for the choices you've made in your life. You've stopped
Yes.
feeling like the worst parent because you weren't 100% there for your kids every moment of their lives. Like,
Mhm.
people have to work, people have to like do stuff. And there is really nothing that you did bad or wrong at all. And they were all experiences, and you have released that now. And now, because you've let that shit from the past go, now you can be present, and now you
Mhm.
can be fully in that peace. And you know it's incredible when we change. We really change. I know this sounds
Yeah.
dramatic, but we change the world.
Yep. It all starts with you.
Yeah, well, it's our own personal worlds, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I know
I'm
I
loving
I
it.
know I had a client's coworker message me thanking me because whatever I did to that client of mine, which is their coworker, they were
Mhm.
like, it was life change. They're like, whatever you
Sweet.
did is like they knew. And
Yeah.
it was very like a big switch, almost like a walk in, but it was more like your bullshit walks out of you.
Right. That is so true. It really, really is.
And of course, being so crass and potty mouth, that bullshit actually is purposeful life lessons and experiences, that we love and explore,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
all that sort of stuff. But sometimes we carry it too long. We hold on to it too
Mhm.
long.
Yeah.
So
Fear
yeah,
programming, in my opinion. I mean, for myself, in my life, like everything was so serious. Growing up, don't do this, you're gonna get in trouble. Don't do this, you're gonna get in trouble. Then you get a little older and you go to church, and they're like, "Don't do this, you're gonna go to hell." And I'm like, "Golly." And then when you get a little older, it's like, "Don't do this, you're gonna go to jail." So, get in trouble with your parents first, then with God second, and then the authorities third. So, like, every stage of our lives, it's something that we have to fear, you know?
yeah, yeah. And like, it can be very challenging, especially when we know some systems aren't designed to empower people,
Right.
and so, that's when there is massive problems in the system when they're purposely oh, look at my voice, we'll hear my voice again.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, it's that the unspoken truths of
Yeah.
how so many systems are designed to fully disempower people.
Mhm.
And it's hard. Life is hard enough without these extra curveboards, balls and challenges, but apparently we all signed up for all of it.
Yeah. Woo! Having a
um
party.
I wanted to say something to you. I felt triggered for a good second earlier today, and I was like, whoa, I am so triggered. So I saw that teenagers, I think they're probably in their 20s or something, um had poured tomato soup over Van Gogh's sunflowers.
What?
Mm-hmm. And I just was like, in what world? I mean, how feral do we live? Like, like I was,
Oh, it's bad, girl.
but
Like,
I was kind of like, I was triggered for the painting. I was triggered for Van Gogh.
mhm.
And then I actually looked at their purpose and reasons and significances for it. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm totally on board with their protest and what they're trying to say. Um, because this painting, even though it is, many people's favorites, is so ridiculously expensive, and yet, and I literally just did a channeling about this. I haven't published it yet. Hang on, I'm just going to clear my voice about how the wealthy could have fed and housed and healed so much of the world, and they
Uh-huh.
consciously make choices to not heal and feed and
Hmm.
house and keep people safe. And like there's so much problems with the world.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I felt into it and what he would have to say about this.
Mm.
And he he would agree with them. He was like, I would totally agree with them. The ridiculous amount of money that is on his paintings is just man-made manipulation in itself.
Mhm.
And he struggled for food. He relied on his brother, and some sort of benefactors that would help him, but he deeply struggled, and he can see so many systems not empowering people, especially not empowering artists, especially not empowering creativity in all ranges. And he thinks it's fantastic and he does not mind. But you know I mean, it's all cute for him to say that, and I believe he has got the higher perspective of
Yeah.
it. And it's been so much photographed, and not that many people are going to really see it in person anyway. And I think it can be fully restored because, give it a wash.
Really?
Well, I
You think it
It's an oil painting, and so
Oh,
a
okay.
tin of tomato soup probably doesn't have that much oil components, and I can't imagine the acidity of the tomato to make too much of an impact. And I think they would have tried to restore it quite quickly.
Yeah,
So, I don't think it's
a real
damage,
one.
but well, yeah, true. That is so true. That is so true. We have heard that many of the official art that we do see is replicas, and that the
Hmm.
real ones are in private, you know, true
Like the
private.
Smithsonian stuff or the Vatican stuff or whatever.
Oh, I don't quite know or follow any of that stuff, but you make a very good point. And so the best thing about our spirituality is that we realize that we have no ownership of anything. And
Hmm.
we don't own our children, we own our thoughts, we own our emotions, and we choose the way that we react, and we own our responsibilities to honor the body. um
Hmm.
so we don't really own anything, and that is part of releasing attachment. When we find that we've got attachments to things, it limits us.
Hmm. Yeah.
So even attachment to guilt, attachment to all negative emotions do not serve us, but also attachments to jobs that don't serve us, to social statuses that don't serve us, friends that don't serve us. If we have friends that aren't empowering us and loving and respecting us, why are we still I mean, we can still love them, but we don't have to
Hmm.
serve them with our time and energy.
Right. I've had a big lesson in that within the past couple of weeks, I'd say.
Have you?
Yeah.
So you've had some exit points with friends recently.
Hmm.
And so how has everyone been dealing with death?
Well, I kind of feel like I overstepped my boundaries with my friend's wife that passed and then running over to, the ex anyway. It was just so messy and I was so in hindsight disappointed in myself for even like what the heck was I doing? Like I'm not even close to any of them. I mean, yes, I've sent my love energy to them each individually. I mean, I put them in my white light pyramid, my white light healing pyramids every single time I do it. But
But
I
you
mean, outside of
also,
that, I know that I probably was not meant to get involved to
mhm.
that degree. And that's kind of where I was going with that, like,
Well, I mean, I think that could be a fear, because that's not what you normally would do at all. But I think you had a calling, and I think you were pushed, and I think you were channeling him, because he wanted his wife to be channeled, to be triggered, to stop being this, what do you call it when you're suddenly a widow? I mean, uh, what do you call it when it's she was using his exit point as her own personal attention game? What is that?
mm, uh, I don't, off the top of my head, I don't really know.
But when he came through, that's what he was
Hmm.
saying.
To trigger her to not do that stuff or
Well, I mean,
just,
he warned you that she would use this as a attention
oh
seeking
yeah. And I
thing.
mean, we
And
already knew that. We that
well,
started immediately
yeah.
following.
And so you would have gone there with love and trying to be your
Hmm.
beautiful self. And then you were forced. This is what I don't like either. And this is when I always sort of question my behavior. And this is when I'll run to them and be like, why was I such this asshole? And they're like, because you needed to trigger them. We were pushing you and guiding you. It had nothing to do with you. It was everything to do with them. And I was like,
Okay.
oh, okay. So, and they're kind of like, they do take over, because they
Okay.
know we're too polite, and that they need a big epiphanies. And so if someone is disconnecting themselves to their own teams, refusing to acknowledge and grow, and still limiting themselves and distracting themselves for attention and drama. That's not serving them. And while we hate being the deliverer of triggers, they will take over us, really. And I know this sounds like, oh, she was possessed, but
No, did I do the right thing? I mean,
I think you did exactly what you were supposed to do.
Okay, awesome.
Because you were trying to hold her accountable, and for her behavior, and she was not open to it because she didn't want to grow. She doesn't want to grow. She doesn't, she loves the drama. She loves to now be this widow. And yes, it's sad, blah, 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 blah. But she doesn't really, it's not even about him. It's about her. And she's so focused on self.
Yeah.
And so you were trying to point to her about some of her inner work to heal her. And she just took your suggestion.
It went over her head.
She took your loving suggestions to heal herself as, she was like, nope, I'm not interested. Thanks.
Yeah. Swiping to the right or swiping to the left.
Totally. And so now you hold on to the guilt or the worry that what you did was wrong. You did everything right. She had an opportunity to empower herself to really take on board what you had to say or not. And you saw her decline. Now, she got that seed. She got that seed of triggering. Will she now then at some point in her life empower herself and harvest that seed and propagate and nurture and, grow that seed?
We shall see.
Totally. And, whatever she does with
it's not
seed,
private, whatever it is.
Yeah. So whatever she does with that seed, it's all on her. Your responsibility was to plant it and to give it and share it. And it came from love. You didn't go there thinking, right, I'm going to really troll the hell out of this widow and really shake her up. You went there with beautiful intentions, and then something took a hold of you and tried to give her a better perspective to help her. And she's not ready for that bigger perspective because she's not ready to be helped. She gets so much attention for being this widow that for you to take away this golden key of forever being a victim is not what she was interested in.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So again, you have to remember that your agenda always is from a pure place. You're not the devil. Sorry. And, sorry to say that,
No.
spoiler alert. Yeah. And so, you actually are really, really caring, really considerate, really thoughtful, mindful person, because you know how hard life can be. You do not want to overstep anyone's boundaries or anything. And so you actually prefer to not be around people because you're afraid. What if you said something that made them think, made them question, the obvious control systems and disinformation and crime against humanity and all that sort of stuff, right? Like, you don't want to red pill anyone, spiritually or, in the truth of community or any of that sort of stuff. So, you're very mindful and careful. And I think they want you to trigger people more because you come in a very disarming rate where you're very loving and kind and gentle. And so that removes their walls and, they can hear you and be open to you. So when you do give them some tough love, and it isn't even tough love, it is still love. It's some love with some responsibilities of options. Hey, if you want to, so anyway. Hey, why don't you just muscle test that for me?
Say it again. Show me a yes. Okay, show me a no. Okay, I'm ready.
Did you do the right thing with your friend?
Yes, I did.
Well, fantastic. Now, can you let that go and trust that all is well and you are always guided? And prompted to be able to be the voice of reason and love, and that, those, their subconsciouses could be prompting you to speak their truth because they're not hearing them.
Good perspective. I'm leaning forward, so it's a yes.
Bingo. Yeah. And
Yeah.
the thing is that many people don't want to be the messengers. Many people don't want to be held accountable or responsible for that tough love, or that, that truth that people are not, they're wanting it, but they don't know if they're ready for it. So the frustrating thing was when we're giving the people these seeds of wisdom, they will react, and we will only see the way that they react. How do you think that I need help, or whatever, right? They'll go away, they'll lick their wounds, they'll loop over it heaps of times, and then they'll sort of forget about it, and then they will suddenly have this organic epiphany of literally what we've said in that seed, and then they will be comfortable to take it and grow it because it's their own epiphany, right?
Right.
We will never see that whole range of unfolding, right? And so when we are expecting instant gratification to tell people, new perspectives that they have been seeking but maybe not even be ready for, we need to accept and respect that they will have massive knee-jerk reactions about it, and then that's fine, but it's been delivered. Don't shoot the messenger, and then we just have to trust that we've been guided to be able to support people the way we needed to.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, well, chatting away. Is there anything else you want to say before I will stop this recording?
I think I'm all good.
Cool. Okay, and then I want to share with you the other session. So, bye for everyone listening.